forgive me today for not filming very much. Today's stage 13 and it's 136 kilometers and I just want to get it done. So I'll only be shooting a little bit of footage on the way. We're meeting David Smith at some point, hopefully, with some water top up, and we're also meeting Tim and Debbie Pocock in at Canon Cemetery at Ben Pocock's grave to put a cap and a medal on there in memory of him, and then heading home, and then we're going to Brecon. So it's going to be a long day, so I'm not sure how much of a video I'm going to actually really be able to make from today, but probably not very much. I'm also very tired. It's a strange sort of tired that isn't a sleep tired. I can't sleep at night very well. Thought I'd be dropping off really quickly to sleep, but I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but I think it's just fatigue, really. Sort of similar to when you're on tour with a band where you just kind of exhausted. My legs feel good though, so I don't think today will be a problem in terms of riding. It's just a sleep thing. Anyway, I've got to go because it's an early start. I've got to meet the other two riders who I'm riding with today, Ian and Mark, who I'm going to put to work on the way back when we head into the wind. I've just put my rain jacket in the back pocket just in case, but I don't think we should encounter any bad weather today. Little bit of wind on the way home, that should be about it. Fingers crossed, so we'll see you on the other side. So, just very quickly, a little note about Tim and Debbie Pocock, who sponsored this stage. I've known Tim and Debbie Pocock for years now. They're amazing people. My friend Stefan often talks about surrounding yourself with good people. Tim and Debbie are not just good people, they are great people. I can't thank them enough, really, for all the stuff they've done for us over the years. Whilst Bex was going through chemo, they'd be sending messages and flowers and gifts and checking in and making sure we're doing okay. And Tim was originally going to come and ride this stage with me, but broke his collarbone in training. Not the only person, incidentally, to become injured or hurt in training for the Grand Tour. One of 3 broken collarbones, I think. Anyway, we set off that day, fast roads, Mark and Ian alongside, had the wind behind us for the first 60 odd kilometres. And so we made the best of it. We rode as fast as we could until we met up with David Smith, who was fast living up to his initials of DS, being Director Sportive, meeting us and giving us a quick refuel and a bit of a kind of mental perk, really. That Whistler? Yeah. Lovely. Hello, mate. All right. Oh, yeah. How are you? All right. Good. Oh, blimey. Whipping along.
You ain't hanging about so far.
No, well, we got the wind behind us at the minute, so we thought we'd use it.
It's stronger than trains every time you get to the front.
And so, whilst we're heading back towards home, we swung by Canon Cemetery to meet up with Tim and Debbie. Tim with his arm in a sling, had to be careful how I gave him a cuddle. And we went and visited their nephew Ben's grave. Now, Ben was aboard flight MH17, which in 2014 was en route between Amsterdam and Kuala Lumpur, and was shot down by a Russian-made missile. Who was responsible for it is still in some level of doubt, and I don't want to get myself into trouble on a video like this, but essentially it was a huge loss of life. Everybody on board was killed, and Ben was a very young man heading out to Kuala Lumpur en route to basically a new life and a new set of experiences, as were hundreds of other people on board that flight. a terrible and tragic waste of a life among hundreds of lives on that flight that day. It makes me really sad to think about a loss of a life that young, but it was a joy to be part of it with Tim and Debbie that day, to go and visit his grave. I left one of my cycling caps and a medal from the Grand Tour at his graveside, and we spent some peaceful moments talking about Ben and his life and what he'd achieved in so many short years. And it was just a nice opportunity to spend a bit of time with Tim and Debbie, having some food and just having a bit of time with those guys. And so that was a big day done, 130 odd kilometres done with Ian and Mark, often at the front, sometimes behind, and I guess essentially a fairly fast day, all things considered. A time to reflect, certainly a very poignant day, one of the more poignant days of the tour in terms of the context of it being about Ben. But when I got home, it was a bit of a rush time. We had to be in Brecon that night, so a good 2-hour drive to get over to the Brecon Beacons, ready to do the next block of riding. And my bike had developed a little bit of a creak in the bottom bracket, which I think, considering the miles of training and the miles it had done by that point, it was a reasonable thing to expect from the bike. So I rang Trek in Bristol, and they quite simply said, bring it in, we'll have a look at it. I was treated to pro team level of service. Bought the bike in, they had it straight on the stand, their head mechanic stripped the bearings, and it was literally just a dry join really. It didn't need a new bearing, but just a dry join. Those guys could not have done any more for me on that day, and also before and since, with all the prizes and support they've given us. So a huge amount of love and respect to Tim and Debbie Pocock. A massive, massive thank you to Mark and Ian for being my teammates that day. And a huge amount of respect to the guys at Trek Bristol for making me ready to get over to Brecon, and the race I had to get over there to be able to be in any shape to head into the mountains.